Alright. Hello there, everyone. Me, Mr.Feedlestick, back with another video, as you can see, out on the outside. But now, I've just deceived you. You see, you might think that because I'm outside, I'm making some shit like Outside Part 3. Well, you're wrong, because I'm talking about something much more interesting, something much more cooler, and, quite frankly, you weren't expecting. That's right. We're talking about how you can realistically kill and survive a Trevor Henderson entity. Why the fuck did I say it so slowly? I don't know. But we're gonna get into it. Alright? We're gonna get into it. And you're gonna watch it. So come with me as I guide you to how to kill and survive these entities. I don't know why I'm saying things so slowly. But hey, that's what I do. Now, I am outside for many different reasons, but the main reason is because, well, the first creature we're talking about is the one you all love, the one the internet ruined with their brain rots and their, fucking kitty porn, Siren Head. The most popular and of all of Trevor Henderson's entities. And now, what the fuck is a Siren Head? Now, I've never heard of this gay shit in my life, says one redneck. Well, Siren Head is a 40-foot tall siren creature with a siren on his head. Well, his head is a siren, so I don't know why I explained it like that. Remember, I don't have a script here, alright? He's about as tall as those trees right over there. That's why I'm out here, because, well, no, this is natural habitat. Wilderness where he can catch you off guard. Alright? You know, he's that tall. That tall. He's a pretty tall fucking tree, alright? Right? Not to mention, he can mimic voices. Now, I'm not really sure how he does this, but theory is that the people who he consumes, he can mimic voices of. So you might hear, I don't know, a woman's voice, or even your mother's. They're like, huh, I gotta go over there. And the next thing you know, fucking consumed by a siren-like creature. And it's not good. Really not good. Because, well, he'll be dead, and pretty painfully, too. And like I mentioned before, you know, he can blend in with the trees, right? So, you know, detecting him might be very hard, because, you know, trees, and it's likely going to be happening at night. A lot of Trevor Henderson's entities. So now, how do you survive Siren Head? How do you survive something that is capable of moving about 25 miles an hour on foot and 250 miles an hour, according to some people, on all four? That's debatable, I think. I don't know, I heard a lot of different estimations. Well, first off, you're gonna want to make sure that you're very silent, alright, and you're quiet. You gotta keep your calm, alright? Because if you scream like, oh my god, fucking 40-foot tall, siren-like monster in the woods, that's gonna get you killed. He's gonna hear you, alright? Alright, and you want to hide under somewhere. Alright, you want to hide somewhere. Because, you know, he's very tall. So, you know, his depth perception is, it's not going to be the greatest. Especially because he doesn't really have visible eyes. So, who knows? It's probably going off sonar. And that's even if he has ears. We don't know. I don't know. But yeah, you know, you want to hide somewhere. You want to keep your calm. And you want to be quiet. Alright? And you gotta hope that he passes on and doesn't notice you. And then after you pass on, you want to get the fuck out, alright? You want to get the fuck out, you know? Don't waste your time there investigating like a white person. Just get the fuck out. You know, DTFO. Get the fuck out, alright? But that's just the first piece, alright? That's how you survive him, alright? I want to know how you would kill this motherfucker. So how do you kill a 40-foot tall entity that is that can blend with the trees. Alright? How do you do that? How would you do that? Okay, but now before we move on to how to kill this thing, we're gonna add a couple rules for every other entity from now on. Alright? Because see, we don't really know if Siren Head can be harmed by our mortal weapons. Cause, from what I've seen while researching, he is sort of implied to be this interdimensional being. Now, I'm not sure if that's just from the specific video that I was watching. Cause, a lot of people with Trevor Henderson's creations, they like to make up shit about his entity. So I'm not sure if this is true. I haven't looked at the proper wiki right now. Wiki. But I have watched proper videos of people who don't lie. And they didn't mention it. But just in case. Yes. We're gonna assume that all of these entities can be harmed by mortal weapons. Unless it's the ones that are spiritual ones. So we're not gonna talk about any of the spiritual ones, alright? We're just gonna talk about the ones that haven't been confirmed, but seem to be physical. Because then what's the point of talking about how you can kill them? So yeah. So let's figure out how to kill Siren Head, shall we? Now at first glance, Siren Head looks like this thing that is leathery, mummified, and organic. Especially those tongues. And we don't really know if he's made of metal, alright? Fucking the pole for his neck could be metal, but it also could be bone. But this first scenario is assuming he is organic. And you're gonna want to use yourself a Barrett M82 because a 50 caliber round is enough to shatter bones and penetrate thick organic tissue. All right, and that's gonna be useful for something like this. And Siren Head's really skinny. All right, he's really slim. So penetrating through his tissue is gonna be easy. There doesn't seem to be much of it there. Alright? But now, Mr. Feedlestick, you woke liberal feminist, what do you do when the thing notices you and starts running at you on all fours? And what do you do then? Well, you might want to get a M134 minigun. However you fucking say the name of this. 134? Fucking don't know. But you want to overwhelm this thing, alright? Because we don't know if Siren Head has any regeneration. And so, having, an M134 minigun, it's going to overwhelm that shit. Alright, it's gonna overwhelm the fuck out of that shit. If it can regenerate. Alright. Because, that's gonna leave it almost like no time. And then even then, you can probably, fucking run away. You don't know. Or even if it doesn't work. But, that's assuming he has a very high regeneration. Or if it's even, limited some way. Okay, so yeah. Use that gun. Pretty good gun. I think that's all for this scenario. But now, what if he's composed of things like metal or wood? Because then some regular guns, they're gonna struggle. They're gonna struggle real bad against metal and wood. So what do I have for that? What do I have for that? So like I was talking about with the, metal or wood composed body, alright? You might want tungsten core ammunition. That would be a necessity because, tungsten is quite good at not pancaking on impact with things like wood and metal. Either that or you're going to want elephant shotgun or elephant gun, whatever the fuck they're called. You're gonna want those, alright? Those have, from what I've read and seen, they have about 65,000 PSI, which is a lot of. It's a lot. It's enough to actually, yeah. It's enough to break through metal, all right? Something that jet fuel apparently couldn't do, but they still went down. So yeah, those would be pretty good options if he is composed of metal, wood. Because, regular bullets pancake on impact with metal or wood. Yes, even wood cannot withstand bullets. I know. You people who never use guns, but, have always thought so highly of guns. Yeah. They're not that good against wood, at least not all the bullets. Tungsten core. That's gonna be pretty good. But lead? No. You're gonna need to pierce through that shit like it's plastic with them tungsten, because tungsten is a pretty strong metal. Alright? That's why it's W on the periodic table. It's a win. That's your win condition. But that's about all I can think of for Siren Head. So now let's get into our other creatures, our spooky little cryptids and anomalies that little Trevor has made for us. What would be a Trevor Henderson video without yours truly, the fucking cartoon cat? That little 1930s fucker who got neutered and went on a killing spree. Now, cartoon cat is, considered the strongest out of, or at least one of the strongest in the Trevor Henderson cinematic universe, alright? And yeah, he's pretty damn strong, because, well, first off, his body's entirely malleable, alright? And in case you don't know what malleability is, it's basically an object's ability to be bent, like this. This is malleable, yeah. And because of that, he can basically move like a rubber hose cartoon character, alright? So, he can stretch and twist and turn that, would normally kill living things. But not him, because, well, he's just that malleable, alright? Another ability that he seems to have is that he is omnipresent, or can be anywhere at once, while being a singular entity. I mean, not like, oh yeah, he can be at 3 places at once, but he can just appear in places when he needs, depending on where he is hunting, he can just be there, alright? He can just be there. And that's mostly in abandoned places, like empty school hallways, abandoned warehouses, just abandoned places, alright? He can also redact information about himself. I wonder why, Maybe that has something to do with why he doesn't really like being in populated cities or places and hunting more than one person, alright? Right? So that might be a weakness that he has with multiple people, because, he doesn't like doing that for some reason. Which is why he's at abandoned places, because, he wants you to be alone. And I think he has some more, maybe, I think that's it for his abilities, alright? Alright, so now let's get into how you survive Cartoon Cat. And, oh yes, scenery change, because, that was Siren Head shit, so the shit's now in here, right? Shit. Cleanest shit you've ever seen, and it's still shit. Ironic, I know. But yeah, okay, so now, how would one survive Cartoon Cat? Now, Cartoon Cat has been placed in the too late category. So in a way, I'll be going against what Trevor Henderson has confirmed. He has said on multiple accounts that if you already came face to face with him, you're already dead. But, like I said, there might be weakness. So, basically, anywhere in the Trevor Henderson universe, or, I don't know, just this thing exists, just bring people along. It's clearly, there's a reason why he doesn't like there being more than one person, alright? So just bring old people with you, right? And make sure, just don't go to abandoned places. That's all I can think of, because he's in a too late category for a reason, alright? He can take you then. Who knows? Yeah, so that's how you would survive, at least to some degree, against, well, Cartoon Cat. But now, how would you kill this thing? How do you kill a 7-foot tall cat that can move like a cartoon character? I'm gonna get into that. Alright, so this was one of the scenario ones that I was talking about. And, I think, because this would require a scenario to kill him. Because, see, I don't think regular guns are gonna do the trick. That's if he has a regeneration factor. If he doesn't have a regenerative factor, you might want to use some, some previous guns that I mentioned, which were the M134 minigun. You know, that's gonna overwhelm him. Or any spread shot weapons. Spread shot guns, or I don't know, maybe a buckshot. That'll work too. But that's if he doesn't have a regenerative factor. And when I talked about this to my friends, right? They said that can he just make it bounce back? But no, all right. If you shoot something at, let's say, a rubber ball, the bullet's not gonna bounce back, cause that's not what malleable means, all right? Right? We don't, cause like we don't know what he's made of. But since he's a cat, we're gonna assume that he's made of what makes up a cat, because this isn't the entity's true form in a way. It's just how he manifests in this reality. So maybe there's a reason why he can't fully be in his true forms. I think that means that he's organic, because, well, I don't think any Trevor Henderson entities besides the God of Roadkill are little gods. I don't, like, his entities, yeah, they're overpowered, but, they're not, I don't know, comic book powerful, so there's a limit, alright? And because of that, we have to make some assumptions. So, organic and malleable. Yeah. And most guns that I've mentioned are going to be able to pierce through organic tissue. Assuming that if there is no regenerative factor and he can't just bounce back the bullets. So, yeah. But he can move like a cartoon character. Does that mean that he has Toon Force? No, right? Just because one can move like a cartoon character does not automatically give him Toon Force. And Toon Force is different from having a very malleable body. Like Monkey D. Luffy, alright? His body is malleable, but doesn't really have Toon Force. To have Toon Force, you have to be able to break the laws of physics. And I guess you could say Cartoon Cat already does that, especially with the implications of that he's some sort of godly entity. But we don't really know that, and, we've never seen any image or entry about him showing, actual Toon Force besides being, well, malleable. Alright? Right? So, let's say mortal weapons can kill him, like we did with Siren Head. So, yeah. And I do have the two scenarios coming up for him. And let's start with the first one, alright? So, you're getting chased by a cartoon cat on your, let's say you have a bike or something, you realize that he was here, or you were planning on luring him here to this location on your moped or anything. I don't know, maybe you're really fast, maybe you're saying both, but you're running away from him, but he's not quite catching you yet, alright? But what Cartoon Cat doesn't know is that you have a lot of liquid nitrogen ready to disperse when he enters the building you're leading him to, alright? I'm not really sure how that would ever work, but, trust me, guys. Trust me, alright? This method would work if you have it planned out somehow. But, let's say you have some sort of trigger for when a Cartoon Cat comes to disperse a lot of liquid nitrogen, right? Objects that are malleable tend to freeze very, very fast, and when they freeze up, they get brittle, alright? And if Cartoon Cat is organic and is malleable, he's likely very fast to freeze. Especially since this is, well, liquid nitrogen. And it's pretty damn cool. Alright? The reason why you want to do this, because, well, like I said, he's going to get brittle, alright? He's going to get brittle. And all it would really take is a heavy object to shatter him completely. And I think that'll kill him, alright? And scenario 2, you get someone or yourself to lead him in this open field, and turns out the US military was working with you, and they drop a localized nuclear bomb. The fireball will literally, basically delete all of Cartoon Cat's mass and leave nothing but ash. All right. I mean that one's a bit of a stretch, a nuclear bomb, but like these are scenario specific because Cartoon Cat is in the too late category for a reason. All right. He's supernatural to some degree, or is complete. We don't know. Trevor Henderson needs to get better at his power scaling because I don't. I have to run on so many scenarios and assumptions here to do that. But, you either freeze his ass or work with the U.S. military to nuke him and hope that he gets caught up in the fire of the nuke. So yeah, that's how you would kill Cartoon Cat and survive him. But actually, I lied to you. There's one more scenario. Alright, there's one more scenario. And that is, now, this is a theory. But some people have theorized that a way to stop Cartoon Cat is to act like you are a cartoon as well. So, whatever you perceive as a cartoon, it will act out for a Cartoon Cat. And basically what that means, imagine you have your phone out and you play a sound effect of a dog, right? That's gonna make him go scared, because cats and cartoons are scared of dogs. So, if you act like you're in a cartoon, you might be able to outsmart Cartoon Cat by being cartoony, maybe for some reason have a hammer laying around, and if you think of this like a cartoon, that hammer will affect Cartoon Cat as if it was another cartoon character hitting another cartoon character with a hammer, It'll do a lot of damage to him. And maybe he's chasing you, then you move out of the way just in time, and then he falls over. But he's still in the air. But then when he looks down, he falls to the ground, That kind of cartoon shit. And that brings me to the next point with this cartoon theory. You guys remember Roger Rabbit, right? Now, I forgot what the substance was called, but it's able to completely eliminate tunes. Now, something about cartoon characters, at least for the Rubber Hose animation era of cartoons, they're completely immortal, alright? But that's where this tune eliminating thing comes in, completely destroys them. So, you already have a permanent way of killing him. So, get the things to make that. I know what was good, because I remember watching a video about this, and the movie too. It used. I know one of the ingredients are mainly in nail polish or nail polish remover. But get that, pour it on him, something, and boom, he'll die. He'll die, or get him canceled. Something that cartoons can't survive, especially on Netflix and Disney. So yeah. How would you get him canceled? Get that gay pride, alright? That'll drop the international markets, and that'll cause them to get canceled and have a 3-episode special for season 3 that are good, but not what we wanted, and not what the creator wanted. And then the creator will move on to any animation and have about 1 pilot episode, and we're still waiting on the rest. Hold on. But yeah, that's how you survive and kill Cartoon Cat. The Forgotten Baby. The one Trevor Henderson entity that I am actually terrified of. This thing keeps me up at night. So I absolutely want to get the cat to kill this thing. But first, we gotta talk about how you survive this thing. Now, how the hell does the Forgotten Baby work? Well, ever since a fire at a maternity ward happened, this thing started appearing. And this thing appears in your house and steals your skin. Right, but first, here's how it works. Alright, here's how exactly it does that. Now, it somehow breaks the locked house. I don't know why. It somehow breaks into locked houses, alright? I know now it does, but it just gets in there. Maybe it squeezes in through a little hole in your door or any crack. It gets in, right? And then swoops around, and then it waits by somewhere where you can't exactly see it, and you'll know it's there when it, crying, drooling, just something, alright? And it usually targets people who are on the couch watching TV, alright? This thing will attack you straight when your guard is off, alright? So you want to make sure your guard is up at all times, alright? And this thing is described as moving with an unnatural amount of silence and swiftness. So you're not going to hear this thing enter your house. And it is unknown if this thing is a spirit or physical, but since this thing steals your organs and skin to wear, it is physical. At least in some way. And so we're going to assume that it is fully physical. Alright, even though there's something supernatural at play when it enters houses, but I don't know how to explain that. Maybe some quantum physics, but I don't know if I have what it takes to explain that. All right, but how would one survive this? All right, so my first instinct is to barricade your house, and what I mean by that is get a bare minimum of motion sensors around your house, and you're gonna want to put that near windows, doors, and hallways, right? That's where he's gonna be lurking around. So you don't know which point he's gonna enter from, and you gotta know if he's near, alright? And then when those go off, alright, you're gonna make sure your guard is on all the time, alright? Turn off your TV quickly, and I guess you're gonna want to leave your house, alright? Just walk out of there. Don't go for your car, because like your guard might go down when you're trying to go out of your car. So just walk anywhere else. Just leave the place. You don't want to be there. Burn down the house. In fact, you don't want to be there. All right, just get out. Get out. Oh, but I don't know how this thing gets in the house. So yeah, that might be your first instinct. So do that, and you'll maybe survive, because this thing is in the too late category for a reason. But yeah, it's only in here because, well, you're not going to hear it coming in. You're going to know that it's here until it's too late. Which is why it's in too late category. So, like, it's not overpowered. Because, well, this thing is at the bare minimum barely street level. Yeah, it is actually a very weak entity if you think about it. Because, like, it doesn't have any, I don't know, maybe phase matter. But, oh wait, teleport. What? I don't. It has some sort of supernatural ability, but it's not a high enough ability to warrant it being anything higher than low street level. All right, but that's how you survive it. How the hell do you kill this thing? Now, there's another one of the scenario ones, because I feel like this works best in a scenario when trying to kill it. But let's say an entity like the Long Horse comes to you 2 days before the forgotten baby is gonna arrive to your house, alright? And instead of, I don't know, not staying at your house like a normal person, you get the idea that I'm gonna kill this thing once and for all. So you call up your friends, alright? You call up, I don't know, let's say about 5 or more friends, alright? Bring all their guns, alright? Tell them to bring any shotgun, assault rifle, or handgun, alright? Because I think those are going to be the most useful guns to use against this, alright? You're going to want to set up those motion sensors like I previously said, alright? Because you want to be prepared for this thing. And for the worst, just in case, set up some bear traps near the entrance of the door. You guys are planning to do this in your living room, alright? Right? I mean, bedroom, yeah. Have some bear traps set up there, alright? And then have a piss drawer, alright? Have a piss drawer. In case you don't know what a piss drawer is, it's a regular drawer, but you piss in it, alright? You guys are probably not going to want to leave out of the room at all times when it's the day. It's going to come, alright? And then, I don't know, maybe you guys all let your guard down, or you have one guy with there's a guard up. I don't know, because this thing only attacks when guards are down, and I don't think it's ever been reported to attack multiple people at a time, so it might not even come. But assuming that it still comes even when there's 5, maybe 10 people, so this thing pokes its head at a door, light that shit up, light it up, just everyone just starts shooting it, alright? Because this thing is made of, we know what this thing is made of, actually. So yeah, all of your bullets are going to do a lot of damage to it, alright?
Just light it up. I want that thing dead. I don't want that thing to exist anymore. So just light it up, because you don't want it in the house. You don't. Not even Epstein would touch this baby or even eat it. All right. So just light it up as soon as it gets in. Let it. And hey, and if maybe. Well, actually, no. You wouldn't want to use a flamethrower. That would set fire to the house, and then you'd be screwed. And while you're lighting this thing up, bullets. Try to escape out the window if there's a window. All right, because you don't know how strong this thing is. We don't know, and that's where your secret plan comes in. See, after your friends have just exited out of the house after lighting this up with a bullet, you added one last precaution. All right. Now this one's optional because this is just for the full. Make sure it's set right. But this is the optional part. You hit an explosive in your room, and then after you exit the house, you set it off. Then boom, dead. I think that'll do the job. Assuming it's not a spirit, because if it's a spirit, then yeah, you're fucked. And of course, you do the other survival strategy. But yeah, I think that's a good way to kill the forgotten baby. Yeah, I know. I want that thing dead. It's pretty damn scary. Ew. Yeah. Maybe you guys have a better idea. That's mine. I was gonna go specifically on what gun to use, but I feel like this really does take group effort. Because, well, I don't know what this. It's a 7-foot tall flesh baby. This thing can probably tackle 3 guys at once. So, I think scenarios like that works. I mean, I feel like for specific guns, what I mentioned previously can work. A Barrett M. Well, that's a precision. That's precision. So yeah, M134 minigun. That's our win condition. Yep, that. But other than that, yeah. Breaking news. The first guy on this list. Last but not least. How the heck do you survive this thing? I don't know. This is the hardest thing to survive, right? You're likely dead as soon as you see this thing. It's over 5,000 feet tall. Taller than that. Alright? Skin is entirely black. Alright? Entirely black. So you're not going to really see this thing at night. And it's going to absorb a lot of light, too. And this thing just seems to destroy cities for no apparent reason. We don't even know if this thing eats. Alright? But it's physical, so it has some sort of weakness. And a thing at that size, made of organic tissue, normal bullets are not going to do anything, right? So my first thought to survive this is as soon as you see it, maybe on your highway or something, just drive in the opposite direction of it, find an airport, get out. Get out of your state. That's all I can think to do to survive this thing. You just leave the entire state. Because, if you're directly by it, there's just no way. Right? This thing is giant. Sure, it's not fast, but since it's giant, the steps it takes are going to be quite big. So you're just not going to survive this thing if you're by close proximity. So your best choice for survival is to just be as far away from it as possible. Alright? Just get away from it. Get out of the state, man. Get out of the state. Right? You don't want to live there anymore now that thing's there. Destroying cities for no reason. But now, how do you kill this thing? Alright? Now, giving options of how to kill this thing is easier than surviving it somehow. But we actually have a lot of weapons to kill this thing. But it's much harder to think of which one to use because with how advanced our world is now in our military, we have absolutely no protocol or anything in case of anything of this size comes. Because we've never had to deal with something that was, 5,000 feet tall and can destroy cities. That wasn't, an asteroid or something. We've never had to deal with anything like that. We don't even know how to think or something like that. We our first instinct was to would be to study what the heck this thing is first, and then find a way to kill it. But we're not trying to study it. We're here to kill it. Now, what's gonna kill this thing? I'm gonna go with any artillery missile. All right, just like missile strikes at its legs, heads, anywhere, in the hope that'll take it down. So yeah, the Air Force is definitely immediately gonna be called in. All right, because even though this thing is very very big, things of that size usually move quite slow. All right, well, it has to oxygenate all those muscles. It has to consume enough food to supply energies to those muscles. It has to be as hydrated for those muscles to work. So honestly, this thing moving at a hole would be a death sentence to it if it was biologically accurate, but it doesn't seem to be anyway. So yeah, the Air Force is gonna get called immediately. You're gonna start shooting that shit with missiles, all right? I'm not sure how deep the missile would go, but since this thing is described and looks malnourished, it's pretty skinny. So, I mean, yeah, it still has a lot of thick layers of skin, but a lot less than what it could have had. Alright, we're basically just be spamming missiles at this and other heavy artillery weaponry and guns. Some heavy artillery bullets. Something close or similar to an elephant gun. Yeah, I think that would actually do very good against this. But not. I mean, if you're trying to take out, I don't know, one of its toes, yeah, entire leg, you might need a firing squad for that. And the army will also be there with their tanks and stuff. They're likely gonna get stomped on before they can start shooting through their tank shells. But tank shells would actually do very good against this. But now, if all else fails, alright, just like with Hiroshima, we're gonna nuke that bitch, alright? Drop. I mean, that'll do all the damage an entire Air Force could do on it, alright? I mean, what does it do after it's nuked? It's just, because, see, we won't just be using a nuke against this. We'll be dropping a nuke directly on it. And that's different from using a nuke, because it's directly on it, alright? And that's basically our win condition right there, because the fireball will literally be on it. Now, I mentioned the fireball of a nuke a lot of times, and basically, it is the center of the nuke, alright? And it's hotter than the sun. And it goes by in like the speed of light. So it's like a blink and you'll miss it, except it's faster than a blink, alright? And like I said, it's hotter than the sun. It's gonna evaporate and turn any skin tissue to ash as soon as it's hit. Not to mention the blast radius, which is gonna blow off a lot of chunks. It is much larger than the fireball itself. And a nuclear explosion can span out to miles, which is much bigger than breaking news. And you might be saying, well, breaking news is pretty tall, but only 5,000 feet tall, alright? A mile, you guys can't even comprehend how far and big a mile is. Because we don't have anything that's a mile tall that isn't a mountain in the world, alright? We've never built something like that. It might even be possible to build something that's a mile tall, alright? Breaking news doesn't even compare to that. He's not even tall enough to pierce through the heavens. Right? He can't do that. So a nuke is just gonna destroy every single piece of him, or she, or they, them, zer. We don't know its gender. But yeah, a nuke is basically the number one win condition. The only reason why we wouldn't use it immediately is because, well, it likes destroying cities, so the nuke will cause a lot of other destruction that breaking news would already cause. And radiation, so that areas can be off limits for a while until that radiation goes away. It's gonna take a while. It's radiation. What nuclear bombs would we use? I think some good options would be, was Fat Man a nuke? I think it was. If not, it'll still definitely work. All right. But another option is a 42 megaton hydrogen bomb. All right, I think that'll do good. That'll, I mean, a lot. Any nuke would work really. But, if we want to get specific, a SAR bomb would be pretty overkill. But, it would get the job done. But I'm pretty sure these are a species. All right, I'm pretty sure there's more than one breaking news. If not, it doesn't really matter. A nuke will do the job. I mean, of course, we can't nuke them all. All right, that'll end the world in itself from all that radiation, or at least fuck it up. And we don't want to do that. So yeah, that's the only way I can think of to deal with breaking news. It really is the hardest threat listed here. Harder than cartoon cat. This thing could probably kill cartoon cat, or maybe just go into an endless battle with it. But then again, I did mention its real life biological necessities, which would render it useless. But we're going off what the canon states, and this thing doesn't. I don't think it has a mouth. I don't think it does. But yeah, that's how to kill and survive every Trevor Henderson. Well, not every Trevor Henderson entity, but the ones that I listed. That's how you would survive and kill them. Trevor Henderson, if you're watching this, how much of them can you actually realistically kill if you can kill any? You're a tricky guy when it comes to power scaling, alright? You're a tricky guy. I'm Mr. Feedlestick, your woke liberal feminist, and I'm out.